Blessings and welcome to Sex Empowerment with Helen and Halima. I am Halima, joined by my co host, Helen.
Hi everyone, I'm Helen.
And this is our first podcast. We're super excited to share our information and knowledge and just the interacting with you. So, this is our first podcast again. And we want to tell you about why we started this podcast, who it's for, and what to expect. So, Helen, I'll let you talk about that.
I'm Helen. I'm a psychosexual and relationship therapist. I work with individuals and couples who suffer from sexual function issues and problems in relationships. And working with so many people, I realized that it's actually a very low quality knowledge when it comes to human sexuality and when it comes to sexual health, because there is plenty of information out there, but the quality of that information is not that great. And that affects people's self esteem, that affects the quality of their relationships, and of course, their sex lives and their health as well.
Awesome. That's amazing. So, um, with that, we're going to be discussing these issues relating to your health, your pelvic floor health, sexual health, overall physical health, and emotional health, right? Because that ties in part of it, and how that impacts our relationships with our own bodies, with our own decisions and choices, and how these choices make our lives, as Helen would say. So how we choose a partner in the relationship that we're in, um, and how to be empowered through confidence, true confidence, because true knowledge will give you confidence. And I love that's our tagline: confidence through knowledge, because this was all about. Once you're knowledgeable, you will make the right choice. You intuitively you will know, you'll have resources um, to make the right choices for yourself. So it's all about empowerment. I've worked with women for over 10 years now, and that's the core of my work as a transformational mentor is to connect women back to their power. And power is strength, power is love, power is wisdom, power is compassion, power is having a vision and really connecting your choices to your outcomes and to your reality. So that's what we're going to talk about here. But this is for men and women. We don't want to say it, for men and women and couples. You're going to get a lot of great information that you will not get anywhere else, guaranteed. So feel free to have, if you have any questions, to post them in the comment section below the podcast, the comment section, and we would love the interaction. So today we have a topic that is very important, especially around holidays, which is loneliness. How to beat the loneliness during the holidays and for the rest of your life, which is the goal, right? Is to conquer this idea of loneliness, because I was reading a statistic by Dr. Gabor Mate that loneliness is like an epidemic, right? It's like an epidemic. So many people are lonely, and there's many reasons why. So, Helen, what is your insight on this escalation, if you will, of loneliness in
Indeed,
our society?
I can't
Hmm.
agree more with you, Halima, that loneliness is like epidemic these days because people are isolated, isolation, self-isolation. These are kind of like such scary words. And it's all started with those times when we had COVID pandemic when we learned first time when it was marketed to that level, self isolate, go
Mm.
isolation. And I think since then the number of you know people who felt lonely, and then the consequences of this loneliness, we talk about psychological and psychiatric issues as well,
Mm.
increased, significantly increased. The rate of suicide increased. And just generally getting back to normal life, interaction, communication with people with the like is like it became difficult. it became very challenging for people. I think on one side it's promoted, hugely promoted, imposed to us. On the other side,
Mhm.
our lifestyle, so social media and kind of a lot of professions, a lot of jobs went online, and kind of coercing us to believe that we don't need each other. We can, um, deal with things ourselves, or we can rely on AI, or we will be okay. But that we are not okay with that, because we are social beings. We are designed
Mhm.
to be, you know, to socialize. We are designed to live together, and
Mhm.
isolation is the scariest thing.
Mm. I love that because we're designed for connection.
Yes.
We're designed to connect and to interact. And so I definitely agree with that. And I want to make the distinction here. Maybe you can do that for us, Helen. The distinction between loneliness and being alone, because they're not the same thing. You can be alone and not lonely.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and you can be lonely and not alone. So can you make the distinction
Yes,
for those
you
who
can
are watching?
certainly be alone and not lonely, because you have this integration, harmony, peace, connection with yourself, within yourself. You connect with yourself because everything starts with yourself, and then it's reflected on other people. Or to the contrary, you can be in the room full of people but feel lonely because you are not connected with yourself. You are kind of like coexisting in a different reality. And that's
Yeah.
unfortunately what's happening to a lot of people. They have like lots of virtual friends on Facebook, they have lots of contacts. Even if they go out to the parties, they feel alone, they feel lonely there.
Yes, yes. They're alone. They can walk in there alone and still feel lonely.
Absolutely.
Um, mhm. What do you think about? Because you mentioned social media. I think this is great because isn't it interesting that we have this network, this web,
Hmm.
hint hint, and we have this web, and there's likes and pictures, and we have this social online virtual engagement. Yet in the real world, in the tangible world, loneliness is at its all-time high. So it's like, is social media really bringing us together? Is it giving us a false sense of connection, friendship, relationship, and that we are actually maybe pivoting from real life connections, or we're getting that sense of what we're trying to get that sense of real life connections from the virtual world.
It does give us false feeling of connection, it does give us false feeling of friendship. We are so much dependent on these likes or dislikes or comments. We put this
Hmm.
image out and watch how many people liked it, who liked it, and if they didn't, we get frustrated. But
Hmm.
it is like it has nothing to do with the real world, with the real needs of people, because who cares, about all these things if deep inside you are in disharmony with yourself. You're empty, you feel emptiness. So
Yeah, and no.
mhm.
Mhm. And no matter how many likes you get, that emptiness is not going away.
No, no,
Like
it's not.
the you can have a million followers, like celebrities. We know that when they're not empty, when they feel empty inside, no matter the status of the superstar, if
Hmm.
you will, we know this from various examples that it doesn't matter how popular or how well loved you are. If there's an emptiness inside of you, no amount of views, clicks, comments, engagement, record sales, whatever, visibility.
Hmm.
None of that's going to take place because you said something. I wrote down. You said everything starts with yourself.
Absolutely. Everything starts with yourself, because understand that every child is born perfect to this world. unfortunately, to imperfect world, because every child who comes to this world has kind of, like, how to say it, love,
A sense of
self-love
innocence.
to
Yeah.
itself. Not a single child would say to themselves, I hate myself, or there is something wrong
Right.
with me, or
Or
I'm
I'm ugly.
ashamed, or who would love that? Children, they don't have that. And then when they come to this world, they come as gifts to this world, but unfortunately they're then met by these imperfect adults who try to correct them, who try to mend them, who try to tell them what's wrong with them. And obviously when child comes to this world, they're very much dependent on love. Their life depends on love, and this love is dependent on approval or disapproval. If I do something right and adults approve it, it means I'm accepted and loved. If I do something wrong and adults disapprove it, it means I'm going to be rejected. And that means, actually, from the child's point of view, it means even death. Because, like I said, child, helpless, who has got no power, no knowledge, depends on love and depends on the adults. And that's what basically builds us to that personality when we suppress some parts of us and we play these roles. We play these roles to please the outside world, to please adults, to get that approval. And that what disconnects us from ourselves. And that what leads to that, loneliness as the result. Because when we're interacting with outside world, we are playing roles. We are trying to be good in the eyes of those people who we are communicating with.
That's a lot that you said, Helen, there. And I want to ask you to break it down a little bit. So can we make so the association that you're making is that from the sense of vulnerability as a child, completely dependent upon parents for its survival, for its needs, for love, and for its bio survival needs.
Mhm.
When when those needs aren't met, or when there's some issue with the family life that doesn't secure the child to feel whole, that emptiness is there, and they take on roles to try to get the approvals because it's survival for the child. They take on roles like we figure out real quickly when our parents smile at us, when they congratulate us. We want that, and we're looking for that, and that sets us up in our relationships to play those kinds of roles unconscious that we learned this before we were 7 years old. So we take on these patterns. So when we talk about loneliness as an adult now,
Yes.
right? Are we still really talking about the young child that never got their needs met or never felt whole?
Yes, because whatever happens, all the problems that we experience as adults come from childhood, because we grow as a human being, we grow in our body, but our subconsciousness stays the same. Our programs that are designed and built inside us stay the same since childhood. And quite often, these programs run in us, even if we are already adults and we don't realize that. So that kind of sense of unmet needs quite often comes from childhood, when we try to make, and you said absolutely right, we all have needs. We just try to meet them by all possible
That's
means. Hmm.
But yeah, they just but any so the child is doing what's intelligent from their perspective is I have to survive the environment.
Hmm.
I need love. So they intelligently begin to play roles. It's a survival mechanism that the child has access to. Right? The child is not doesn't have the consciousness at that time to understand, oh, mommy's yelling because she had a bad day at work. It's not about me. They don't have that. They're able to filter that through. It's all about them at that age. So
Yeah.
now we're in our 40s, 50s, Helen. Now we're older, right? And we still have this inside these wounds, if you will. We're still playing these roles. Um, do you associate the loneliness that we feel to the roles that we're playing, the various roles that we can play?
Yes, absolutely. Because obviously, when our needs are to be met, we play these roles and we have this fear. We have this fear, what if I express my needs and they will be met with disapproval and then I will be rejected? What, so like fear is something that kind of takes us away, creates that distance. I've been in relationships, I got hurt. Why do I need another pain in my life? So I'd rather kind of shut myself down because I'm so scared to be hurt again. So that actually one of the ingredients that contribute to our loneliness, that fear. And when we suppress our needs, when we suppress some parts of our personality, we lose a lot on that, because we're not whole. We like exist, like we survive on certain parts, but we still feel that emptiness because something is missing in us. And quite often when I work with people who come to my practice and they're not happy about their sex life, right? I do this exercise with them on shadow personality, something that you reject, something that you say, oh no, I'm not like this. Okay. So when you reject something and you experience really strong negative emotions, that's exactly what you suppress in yourself. And the interesting thing is, when we uncover that, when we dig out that shadow personality, we see how many resources are there, how many things the personality is missing on because of suppressing them. And there are lots of revelations coming out of that. So
That's a powerful exercise. That's a powerful exercise.
yes, it is very powerful because it keeps, like, it brings you back to authenticity. What do I want? You ask, what do I not allow myself to have or to do?
Right. And it's the fear, it's the judgment that prevents us from is judging ourselves as, oh, this is too this, or this is
Yes,
too thinking, or this is
judgment,
too whatever it
shame.
may
Mhm.
be. And it locks us into this role where we're denying this repression you're talking
Absolutely. And
about.
that's why we can't be authentic to ourselves and we can't be authentic to other people. Playing these roles, we can't be authentic and we can't connect with other people when we are not ourselves.
This is interesting question just popped up. Does the sex life, how fully expressed you are, authentically expressed you are, reflect your psychological health or emotional health? Is the sex like in this, 'cause through your work, do you see there's a connection
Oh,
there?
yes, absolutely. All
Mm,
your vulnerabilities, all your, how to say it, unresolved conflicts,
hmm.
emotional problems, they come out during sex life. Okay. So it's kind of like a reflection of things that are there and they're not resolved. And also vice versa, it's kind of like connected. In sex life, you can't express yourself fully if there are problems with like internal world, with your personality, with like
Right.
shadow personality, for example, when you suppress certain things. And quite often, like when I work with women who say suffer from problems with orgasm, right?
I was thinking about that when you were talking. Okay, good.
And when we look into that, we realize that permission to experience that, she just doesn't give herself permission to experience that because she's trying to be a good girl. She's trying to, prohibit herself certain things. I'm not vulgar. I'm not like that woman. I'm not swearing. I'm not like I'm not exposing myself. I'm not. And then when we look at that personality that comes out that I'm not, we see
Yeah.
what does that personality allow her that this woman doesn't.
Mm.
And quite often, freedom, self-expression, connection with emotions, that what actually the main obstacles that prevent somebody from experiencing high quality sex life.
Is it also the judgments they put on other women as well,
Oh
or other
yes,
people? Oh, the whore, the
yes.
slut. Oh, you see a lot of women to women do this to each other.
Hmm.
Um, will classify them or judge them as something if it's not quote unquote
Yeah.
respectable or whatever it is, whatever that is.
So as soon as you look at someone and they evoke strong negative reaction in you, remember this is something that's sitting inside you. This is something that you have but don't accept in you because that's something that bothers you. So if you look at women and you say, "Oh, she's a whore, she's a slut," look inside and see what are you not allowing yourself that this slut allows herself to do. Does it make clear?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Again, everything starts with you.
Yeah,
So if these are the if there's some strong emotion, it's not like you can see someone and don't have any no judgment, no heat. You just hey, this is this person. I love that she's happy, she's doing her thing.
yeah.
But there's something that evoke like or
That bothers
like
you.
how
That really like doesn't
yeah.
allow you to keep calm. Like really gets into you. It means yeah, it's trapped in you, in your personality. Let it out. Accept it.
This is the shadow work that
Yeah.
this is the shadow work. And then these are the things that um repress and maintain this state of loneliness, right? These are the things, these are the not accepting of yourself and the things you want to do and how you want to express yourself. Like, it will keep you in it, locked in a role,
Mhm.
right? And that role could be lonely. You could be playing a role of a lonely person
Absolutely.
and you restrict your behavior to Netflix, and you really think that's, and I'm not saying I love Netflix, but it doesn't mean like that is the role that you're playing, that you're not getting out, you're not getting in nature, you're not going out, you're not relating with other people, you're not doing what really you want to do to feel fulfilled because you tethered to this state of loneliness or this role that you're playing.
Yeah. And when you play roles, you also attract wrong people. You also attract people who not give you what you want because you are not yourself. And that's also kind of can lead you to loneliness because you cannot continue liking something that is not a good experience. And it's normal not to like something if it wasn't great for you.
Right, right, right. Oh, so when you play these roles, what you do is you attract the supporting cast that maintains that role for you.
Yeah.
So you'll find, you say if you're a woman and you're in a relationship and you are in a state of loneliness, it could be insecurity, it could be any of these roles that we play. Um, and you attract a guy who ignores you, who doesn't put, that's not emotionally available, who ghosts you. These are the types of experiences that you will have if you're playing the role of lonely. You could be married and still lonely, you
Absolutely.
know. So there's no deep intimacy, no intimacy with the being level at the core of who you are. It's always at the superficial level. Either it's all about your beauty, but never about your heart and your mind. Because as much as you're willing to share and be vulnerable to share and accepting yourself, to the degree you can do that, is the degree in which you can be loved and seen. Because if you're suppressing yourself, you're not being seen. So you just only your representative, people would say, or your mask, or or the role that we play, or the character can be liked or lusted after or desired. But the love, the true love, comes when you're able to be fully yourself, to be expressed fully and authentic. That's when that level of love you can experience, because you're being available. You're saying, hey, this is me. This is all of me, good, bad, everything. You're totally fully integrated, and accepting of your own dark, your own shadow.
Yeah, I like also the fact about intimacy that you said. It's very important. Some people uh, confuse intimacy with sex. They think, okay, if
Oh
it's
yes.
intimacy, it means sex. No, intimacy can be a product, or sex can be a product of intimacy, but they are not the same thing. And
Right.
also, when you're communicating with people and you feel like, okay, I need some space for myself, that's actually proves that you are not intimate with them. You are not connected. You are playing roles to a certain point and you are exhausted. You're now exhausted. That's why you need that space to kind
Hmm.
of recharge until you are ready to play those roles again.
It's
It's
exhausting.
exhausting, yes. So because when there is true kind of intimacy, true love, true connection, you want to be part of something that you love, that you like. You want to take it. Love is all about accepting, is all about taking in. I want that, right? Fear, it's all
Mm-hmm.
about I don't want that. Leave me alone. Run away. You know.
Right.
So this is
Mm.
quite important to look as well when you communicate with people. How much space do you need after that communication? If you do, then you're not authentic. Then you are just playing roles, and they're just co-cast that support you in that.
Right. And be mindful that it takes some enormous amount of energy to suppress what's authentic in you. And
Absolutely
that's why it's exhausting, because
exhausting.
it's a lot of your own life force energy that's pushing it down. Right. And so when you are able to let go of these roles, that's the power is coming back to you in the moment. This is when your real true power comes up, where you can um, have standards and values for yourself and execute those boundaries effortlessly, because it's the energy that's giving you is coming back to you versus being dissipated
Hmm.
in the past, or being holding the true self down. It takes a lot of energy to hide yourself, and this is a scene in the Matrix 4. It was where Neo goes back into the system. Did you see the movie?
Um, yeah, I've seen, but long time ago. So I.
Oh, okay. This is just for real quick. He had to continue to take so many blue pills. No, was it? He had to take so many red pills, I think it was, to blue pills, to keep him sedated, because they kept giving him all these blue pills. He kept taking. So it took a lot to sedate, to suppress the authentic, true you.
Hmm.
So be mindful of every time you say, "Oh, you don't want to go somewhere, but you say yes."
Hmm.
That's suppression.
Yeah.
If you say, "Oh, okay, I like him. At least he's this," but you don't really feel enlivened by their presence. You're not invigorated by their energy. That's you dissipating. All of these choices, from looking at it from an energetic perspective, it's really either you're dissipating or you're increasing your energy.
Absolutely. We're talking now about boundaries. So when you say
Mm-hmm.
yes, when you should say no, or when you say
Mm-hmm.
no, when you could say yes, right? So it's about that relationship of yourself, through yourself, with the outside world, and
Mm-hmm.
asking yourself, do I really want this? Do I really want
Mm-hmm.
to meet this person? Or is it somebody else's wishes? Because remember that all your shoulds and musts and obligated to, it's somebody wants. If you do something against your wish, it means you are basically fulfilling somebody else's wishes. And in the end, you still going to be unsatisfied with the experience, with yourself, and close down even more, deep
So
in your
what is
loneliness.
yes. Yeah, you can get buried underneath it all and maybe live a whole lifetime
Hmm?
never really being authentic, never being fully expressed. And so we don't want that.
No.
For so we want to talk about what things that we can start to do. We've been giving you some gems along the way about this suppression and being aware of just your yes and your noses. How authentic are your yeses and no's, and how much are you? What are you agreeing to that you do not want? You really don't want it, but you're agreeing to it because I don't want to be lonely. That's a big one too, right? The things that we do because we don't want to be alone, I should
And
say.
then end up being lonely as a result.
You can't escape it. You can't escape. Now, does loneliness differentiate so far as how it's expressed from men and women? Is there a distinction between the two? How it manifests?
uh, I guess so. um, I mean, loneliness, it's a kind of illness of 21st century for men and women. And obviously it will be kind of expressed differently, in a way. um, so
Like sexually, for example, like you hear people say like men can have a lot of sex. It's okay, women, but speaking for men right now, can men have a lot of sex with different women and still feel empty, still feel lonely?
yes, yes, like if say um, we yeah, and women as well, women also can have that. Women
Hmm.
also can, uh, yeah, it can be expression in the same way. They can either express their loneliness through sex, so
Hmm.
just having sex, meaningless sex, that can be quite exhausting actually, in the end.
Oh, you're saying that it can be an expression of loneliness.
Yes, so kind
Mhm.
of like, having this need, this emptiness inside, and trying to fill it with whatever it is: sex, gambling, I don't know, work,
Right.
other
Work is a
things.
big one. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. What about violence? What about like like what it caused? Like I guess it does on your depends on your overall psychological health, but the loneliness would that like trigger people to get more angry, to be more combative um, during this time? Because you see a lot of things happen after the lockdown. There was just this surge of these crazy acts, right? So, and it's still going on. But does that trigger something to be more in someone that maybe have some form of other issue anyway, and it just takes them over to the other side where they may be, you know, attacking people. Like at my niece's school, there was a shooting. Some person didn't get a job.
Hmm.
Okay, so does this sense of loneliness can that escalate into more other psychological things, issues,
Yes,
dysfunction?
anger, it's kind of like, it's like a cover emotion, right? It's not it's emotion that covers insecurity inside. When you
Oh,
feel
I like that.
helpless, when you feel desperate, you can express
Yeah.
it through anger, like self defense, survival emotion. So it's not authentic. Or if, for example, you feel like a failure, you feel ashamed, rather than accepting this, you express it through fury, through violence, through anger.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Again, coming back to sexual relationships, um, I work with, again, women who suffer from unsatisfaction during sex, and they come and they say there is something wrong with me. is something wrong with me? And then when we start looking into the problem in details, we find out that there is nothing wrong with them. They just don't enjoy that experience, because rather than listening to his woman, the partner would prefer to kind of reflect on them, that there is something wrong with them not enjoying sex, rather than improving his skills, listening to her needs, kind of doing something about it. So it's much easier to reflect that shame, that kind of insecurity, through saying to her, there is something wrong with you, that's why you don't enjoy sex. I hope I explained it clearly.
Oh, yes. And
And
I remember you were saying,
mhm.
yeah, you did. So far as the projecting onto not listening, not wanting to make that, we can go into that on another show because there's a lot to unpack there. Um, and I remember you gave a quote once. I think you said like it's a percentage of women who don't experience orgasm.
Yeah,
I remember you said that once.
yeah, like all women can experience orgasm. It's just a very tiny little percentage that, due to kind of physiological maybe specifics, won't experience, can't experience. But the percentage is tiny, and for these women, the subject won't be that important. So women who are
Mhm.
bothered by the subject, they are able to experience orgasm.
And this low quality sex that you often discuss and with your work and with helping women get have vibrant pelvic floor health and strength. Low quality sex, does that um, connect to the low quality relationships,
Yeah.
and which can end up with being lonely, not communicating, you know, not getting that love or mutual respect and reverence. Does that end up coming from the sex life, you think?
It depends on each individual case, because there are people who connect on emotional level, and they don't
Hmm.
really require that much sex. So they can,
Okay.
have fantastic relationships and no sex or low quality sex, but they are okay with that. Like
Okay.
they emotionally they connect. But there are obviously situations when it is interrelated, when there is no connection, no, communication, and of course, it affects the quality of sex life as well.
Mhm. So, what are some of the things that women and men both can can do to kind of get out of the loneliness state? What are some of the solutions that would be
Yes.
helpful?
So, first of all, reconnect with yourself. Try to be authentic with yourself. Ask yourself, what do I want? Is this my wish? Reconnect with your emotions. If you're feeling anger, if you're feeling, fear, it's okay. It's normal human being. Accept that inside you. Speak to yourself. Don't try to suppress this in you. Don't try to run away from inner feelings. If you experience, positive emotions, negative emotions, they're all important. They're important to be integrated and interrelated and, you know, connected within you. So this is important. This is the start. And then, if you want to connect to other people, you need to be able to express it to other people with your facial expression. You need to be open to connect to other people and express your interest in other person. Like, I'm interested in you. I want to
Hmm.
communicate with you. It's not the case I want to get something from you, okay? But I'm interested in you, because quite often, some people trapped in loneliness, then they come out, they see someone, and they start to kind of use that person as a dumping ground, like throwing everything at that person, and that poor
Yes.
victim,
poor, poor person.
tries to save their life.
Yeah.
And so obviously acknowledge the fact that communication comes from both ways, and
Yes.
interest in that person, what they feel, to be able to to experience compassion. What do you feel? How what it's like with you, to be you, to see the world through your eyes. That will be the first step, obviously, to do.
Mm, I love it. Um, and one thing I ask my clients is, especially if they're wanting to be in a relationship, like, why do you want a relationship?
Hmm.
Really get clear, because um, this would help you see how you perceive a relationship, because some people need a relationship to make them feel happy. That's a telltale sign.
Big
Is
mistake. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
the internal anatomy or internal self is coming from a wounded state.
Yeah.
So the goal for me, and I would like to get my clients here, and once they get here, they have lots of fun, is to experience someone, to have an adventure, to have a playmate where we can grow and support each other. Why are the reasons why you truly be authentic with you, be radically honest with your answer here, because
Yeah.
don't don't make it what you think it should be, but actually what it is, because this is where we start from. So get authentically honest, or I should say radically honest, about why you want a relationship, and understanding that loneliness is an energy issue.
Yeah.
It's your life. Again, we went back to the life force. So any experiences, actions, thoughts that really release you out of those paradigms where you feel locked in or add energy to you, you want to start doing those things. So, what are some fun things that you've been wanting to do that you haven't given yourself permission to do? Right. This is how you break out of the character of being lonely.
Yes.
Right. And,
Hmm.
right. And you don't have to do them by your. You can do them by your. You can do it alone. You don't have to, but you could do it alone. So, is it just getting some paintbrushes, some paint, a board, and just going out in a park and paint? It doesn't have to be major. It doesn't have to be expensive. Is it what going snorkeling? Is it just spending an extra hour a day in bed? Whatever it is, write those things down and start to do them immediately.
Yeah, remember that nobody wants to be your problem solver. Nobody wants to come to your life to make you happy, because you are the only one who can make yourself happy. So create the life that you can be happy in that yourself, and then you are open to the other person, to the other world, to come and share
Yes,
it with you. Bring something from their life and exchange it with you, like experiencing different things together. That's all about relationships.
absolutely. And when you start to do the things that you've been denying yourself, because okay, and think about the judgments that's come up. Oh, I can't do it. I don't have time.
Mm.
Yeah, you do.
It's all
Or
excuses.
you're or I don't want to go by myself. Well, the thing is, you're playing a character of a lonely person. You want to break this
Yeah.
character, because again, remember, the characters have the co-stars to keep the storyline going. If you want a new storyline, you got to be a different character. You have to get out of that state, and new experiences, new information, new experiences will give you more energy. You feel more inspired from the inside. Roller skating. That's what I want. That's on my list, Helen. I've been saying I want to go roller skating. I said I am going roller skating this month, um, and just do the things. They don't have to be like crazy, like skydiving. They could just be simple things that add pleasure and fulfill you from the inside out, and not expecting anyone to do that for you, because that's where You get it,
Problem
you get
starts
into work
basically.
probably.
And you can meet people anywhere. You can meet people in the
Mm,
shopping center. You can meet people on the bus stop, on the street, in the restaurant. It's just,
yes.
how are you ready to meet someone? Are you ready to meet someone?
Oh, I love it. Are you ready to meet someone? And this is what and this is a challenge and the opportunity is to be ready. And you be ready by, again, looking at what Helen shared, start to do new things, different things, start to get out of character. Because think about who's going to be attracted to your energy. If you're lonely, isn't it interesting? When we're so lonely and like, deprived of attention and affection. But we want the Prince Charming to come in and just make us feel this way.
Yeah, what's there for Prince Charming? Understand what is there for him, you know? Because we established relationships, it's about exchange.
Mm,
It's not about resolution of your problems. So Prince Charming should be interested and challenged and curious to find out what's there in your life. Yeah.
and we're going to save that one for a different podcast.
Yes.
So, are any other solutions that you want to offer
I mean, now
before
we
we
kind
close
of
out?
head into Christmas period time. There are lots of people out there celebrating, lots of, on the street lights. So kind of everybody in some kind of high spirited mood, right?
Yes.
So just go out there and just enjoy the moment of that. Just feel yourself with the energy of this kind of pre Christmas energy. Enjoy the light, enjoy the mood, kind of become part of that. Even if you are
Yeah.
lonely, you can just go out on the street and just become part of that crowd. Don't look for anybody. Just, you know, surrender to that torrent of energy and reflect it. And there might be someone who's like you, lonely and see you happy and would want to join you as well, to share their
Hmm.
happiness.
And yeah, like what Helen said, don't look for an outcome.
No.
Have the experience because it's all about shifting what's inside of you first. And that's what gives you a signal that you're going to be bringing new co-stars into your world, like playmates and fun friends, etc., business partners. All of that is available. And also be mindful when you go out. What story are you telling yourself? Oh, no one's gonna. You want to when you go out, tell yourself something different. Tell a different story for yourself. I'm going to go out. I'm going to enjoy every moment. I'm going to feel the air on my skin. I'm going to feel the get some hot cocoa or whatever, some cider. Like really play the role of enjoying this time of the year, enjoying the day, the night, the experience.
Don't play the role. Enjoy it. Just be
Yes.
yourself,
Mhm.
enjoy it, because there is nothing worse to see people who are full of fear, anxiety, and they kind of trying to catch someone, and that's quite, it puts you off.
It's not attractive.
It's not attractive at all, no. So if you're whether you're man or woman, doesn't matter. It's just that confidence, that self satisfaction. I'm confident with myself, I'm happy with myself, I'm enjoying this moment. This is what matters. And I'm happy to
Awesome.
meet someone who would be in the same kind of level, in the same state of mind, who are enjoying themselves and who would like to join me to enjoy this experience together, and then see what might happen.
I love it. Sounds like fun to me. Well, we've completed our first podcast. Thank you so much for joining and watching the view.
Thank you.
Um, It's been a pleasure, Helen, as always. And so we're going to be um, having our podcast on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. GMT. And what to look for, what kind of topics we're going to be covering on the next few weeks, Helen?
We're going to look at the topic about how to look great after 40.
I love it. How to look great after 40. And this is for men and women. Or just
Well, for both, yes.
That's awesome because this again it goes back to confidence. It's going back to elevating esteem and really going in through the inside out. So that's amazing. So look forward to that. And it's been a pleasure, Helen, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you, Halima. It's been great. And looking forward to see you again, guys.